So, fun fact, I planned like 3 time lapses for this video because it's been one of the easiest ways to show the design process for this via ouch. I just smacked my goddamn mic like an idiot. Oops. This would be one of the easiest ways to show it off in clips to Paint's built-in one in their program, but I kinda fucked up. So if you want a time lapse, you have to keep the editable file. You can't rely on the PNG, which I wasn't fully aware because every time I would take time lapses, I would do them from the PNG because I still had the editable file and it didn't once click to me to think, oh, those two are related. So I lost 2 of them and I only have 1. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and attempt to salvage any of the things that I end up losing because of my little stupid moment, where I'll just use screenshots from the layers that I can salvage and also probably just talk about other things too. But don't worry, you'll have background footage playing of me farming these rifts and whatnot, so it's not gonna just be like dead air and like dead visuals, you know? Because I know some people are very whiny when it comes to like seeing something being drawn because y'all are allergic, because boohoo. I think we can all agree the Halloween event for Borderlands 4 wasn't really much of a Halloween event, let alone an event in general. It was just boosted spawn rate for Rift Champions. It didn't help the event in any way, considering the fact that not only are the 2 pieces of gear chest exclusive, they are dog shit. And I don't blame them because after day 1 I was really not impressed with this event. So I'm gonna go ahead and discuss some major issues with these bosses in general that didn't help this case. So number 1, bosses are notoriously known for getting outside of their bubbles and can struggle to get back in. Because if a boss, let's say, is on a cliff and they get off that cliff, congratulations, you're not going to be able to finish the fight because you can't shoot outside of the bubble, nor is there no mechanic that allows the boss to be resummoned back into said bubble. Which, I'll be honest, I think they should have done something like that for this event because that could have saved absolute issues, considering the fact rifts tend to spawn anywhere there's a big open space. Another problem on the topic of the bubble just sucking in general is the fact that bosses can, in fact, kick you outside the bubble. So, like, let's say you're flying into it from a very high point. If you're going up against a boss that has an AoE where they can blow you back, the second you touch it and it activates that, congratulations, the bubble is now cancelled because you technically left it, even though you barely made it in by like a little second and the boss just kicked you out of it. This also applies with other things such as the fact that if a friend dies in the bubble, things get cancelled out. Someone may accidentally just step outside a little bit. Overall, there's so many factors against these things, and I understand it could be a skill issue, but within the fact this game is notoriously known for having really god-awful lag in multiplayer, it just doesn't justify it. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like as much as people shit on Borderlands 3, I think a good majority of people can agree the Borderlands 3 event had way more effort put into it, considering the fact we got a iconic character back as a boss in the part of Captain Han, because oppression is in fact his profession, but also a goddamn good banger soundtrack too, because I feel like this game's just missing a lot of things. And I'm just gonna go off top and say Borderlands 4's soundtrack kind of depresses me in the fact that there's only like 10 tracks, and you mean tell me in this massive game with multiple bosses and shit, you only have 10 songs? So small. I swear I hate it, bro. Since I suffered from a severe case of Borderlands killed my ability to be a normal functioning member of society, I have not been able to go back. When this event legit started, I kind of just sat in my bedroom, was just like, man, this shit's so ass. And then that's when reality kind of hit me and I was like, wait a minute. I spent my entire life mastering the ability to draw depressed people and furries, so I could technically abuse my knowledge and do my own take on this event because, you know what, that didn't stop a lot of people when it came to things that ended and they continue on their own project. Of course, that usually end of the time ends up with very shit, but I promise you I've not done anything bad, so there's nothing really bad I could do to come out from doing this, so you know. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just make this really nice and clear. A lot of these are not gonna be like super high diesel artwork. This is all just gonna be concept art in my own way, where typically I usually will draw with a really messy brush and I'll do like colors and stuff that aren't gonna be 100% accurate, but overall I tend to do like a little bit more messy side when it comes with concept for characters and whatnot. I'll probably show on screen some I've done in the past, but just to give people a rough idea of how I'm gonna do this. I do plan in the future of maybe like finishing these up one day, but I'm gonna wait till I can get the art book. That makes life easier and trying to figure out how to draw these fucking manglers. We're gonna go ahead and just start off with the base concept and what we're gonna be working with. So first off, I decided I'm gonna keep the main selling point, which is you drive around the world, you fight rift bosses, you get a chest at the end. I didn't change any of the loot or none of that because I just did not feel like trying to figure out how the fuck to design that, because I suck at drawing guns in this game. I need to practice that in the background, but I decided we're gonna keep the Rift Champion thing. But we're gonna go ahead and kind of take back elements from Borderlands 2 and 3 where they had pop culture Halloween references into them, because the raining blood effect's cool and all, but it just doesn't fit, because you just get one little weather effect near and inside the bubble, but you don't have nothing else, like no jack-o'-lanterns, no skeletons, just nada, bro. So design wise, I'm gonna say right off the bat too, these designs are not gonna be 100% accurate, let alone in certain features, because trying to find good references of these guys on Google is more absent than the balconies in Pokemon Z to A. Like, I legit refuse to believe it's been almost 2 months since this game dropped. Well, it's a month right now when I'm recording this, but I don't know how long my editing's gonna take, but there's a chance you'd be watching it's already November 12th. So that's been 2 months since this game has dropped, and no fucking wiki can show me a picture of a mangler, let alone the greatest picture in mankind's history, known as Claptrap in a wig. Was the first one that started this whole idea. So originally when I started this, I really wanted to keep Axemaul his original colors, similar to the movie Zombies, which in Zombies all the animals keep their organic colors. They might be like a little bit diluted, but their main thing is that they have the glowing white eyes, which I'll be honest, I kind of don't understand the point of the glowing white eyes, because when something is dead, it's gonna have light blue, so why not, instead of a white glow, they did a light blue glow. But I'm going ahead and being a little bit annoying for no purpose. We can talk about that later. It's kind of like a movie I feel like they would reference, because it's kind of just like a shit movie. You're kind of meant to take it seriously, is what the directors probably would have wanted, but when you're watching your friends, you just can't. It's just so horribly animated. The CGI is buns. But one issue I kind of would get smacked repeatedly, like Krieger and Silent, the voices in his build, is the fact that all the images of this boss are more blurry than my vision when I wake up from a long night drinking. So I ended up going and using my own screenshot of this guy, which is in this like one spot that a lot of people have been using to farm the Rift bosses during the event. I'm gonna just say this is off script, but for some reason animal bosses particularly get bugged in this area because of like the little built-in car thing that's there, right? Because Axemaul, Shadowpelt, and Rock and Roller all get stuck in there, where they kind of just don't know what to do for like the entire fight till they're almost dead, and then they remember, oh wait, I'm a boss, I should be doing boss things. So you might notice this is kind of where I got the green colors from him, because I just decided to color pick from the picture. I don't even remember if I gave him the corrosive trait or he was just corrosive, because after these bosses you can never really tell what their elemental trait is if you're not looking at the health bar and shit. But apparently I see some people say their eye color changes, which is I don't get it, because like, why don't you just make them glow the color? Going on to continue on with the zombie design wise, of course I know in zombies they don't have open wounds and whatnot, but we're gonna go ahead and go with cartoony in the way where typically in media zombies are depicted having chunks of flesh missing, bite marks, maybe having exposed ribs and whatnot. And yes, I know there's gonna be someone who's gonna be like, well, this isn't scientifically accurate. It's Borderlands, be realistic, Slab. Has Borderlands ever been realistic in any way? No. Be real. We would not allow monkeys to have fucking guns out in the wild. Anyways, during this process, I also did kind of think about actually making a version of Axemaul, like where every time you, as slowly as you like kill him and stuff, pieces of his flesh kind of come off more and more. And I was mostly basing this off of a movie I personally love for the way that it actually depicts mental struggles, and like when people say like they feel like they're falling apart mentally, the movie took that phrase but made it physically. Like, what if you were physically falling apart, like decomposing like a real life corpse, to where you are still sentient, you would be like little bits of meat chunks on your body, but you just cannot die. You cannot find any way to kill yourself because you are still forced to live while your body is just non-existent, right? Same the fact the movie does feature things like dream gore and all that stuff. I just feel like it wouldn't be something the dev team would reference. I would just go and show on screen what the film is. I dumped that idea and we're just gonna stick with the cartoony zombie design, and I decided to, well, you know, since we're doing Axemaul, why not we design other manglers as well? Axemaul does spawn in with other little mangler guys. I guess that's his little pack he has, which I think is kind of interesting that all these little manglers obey a fucking giant one with an axe. And you know, I've always wondered too, where the hell did he get the axe from? Because like, bro got a Doom Eternal looking axe. Manglers themselves are really interesting creatures to me because these guys are built like Thylacos. If you played Ark Survival Evolved, you know what I'm talking about. The Thylas being those beefy ass cats that look like they're on steroids. Another thing that kind of interests me about these guys is that unlike Thylacos, they have way smaller heads and also come in a bull shark form. I definitely knew for a fact I wanted to go ahead and do the bullfish mangler, but then I thought, what about another one? Like, the original ones are kind of boring. Like, they don't have any of the body armor. Seniors do. And seniors kind of interest me as well because they fall under like another weird thing being like, how does a senior mangler work? Like, are they badasses that like age so much over time they kind of just like get smaller again and just more like calm down? Or are these guys more like manglers that just cannot evolve into a badass? So that's just their natural life cycle. You got the little puppy baby things, normal mangler, and then senior, and then the rare chance where one becomes a badass or whatever fuck it means, right? I don't know. Regardless, neither of these guys are gonna be immune to our zombie outbreak we're working on for this part, so let's zombify them. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and just stay off the fact that I went ahead and made these guys look a little too much like trophy mounts because I could not for the life of me get their body anatomy correct because manglers are kind of just weird. Like, they could follow like lion logic in a way, but it's just their bodies don't really support like how I see it, so I just went with trophy mounts to make it easy. It's hard to get pictures of these guys in game just for the fact they keep squirming around like my damn cat whenever I try to cut her toenails, so I was just like, fuck it, we're just gonna go with this one picture I took from my YouTube video. Similar to Axemaul, the senior is gonna feature similar opening wounds because of the fact I feel like theologically seniors being way older are gonna be more prone to like viruses, infections, and all that stuff, but also skin infections, like rashed openings on the neck. I kind of don't like them in the end, but at the same time I kind of thought of the idea that perhaps because these guys are much older they could are more vulnerable into being cannibalized by the other ones, because again, I don't know what the hell these guys eat. I refuse to believe they take down the fucking cows because manglers are too squirmy for that shit. They could become self-destructive, and the reason why they might attack each other and have these large openings is because they don't know what the fuck is going on. They're animals, they don't common sense to realize, I have something wrong with me, I'm infected, I should go kill myself. But the bullfin one is kind of more cooler to me because I wanted to base this guy off the deers and the fact that in real life deers typically when fighting can sometimes rip off the head of their opponents if they are entangled for too long, and whoever the first one dies and decomposes enough, then we'll just rip his head straight off. I didn't really want to do the head on this guy because I feel like logically manglers just don't seem like the type to get into that kind of combat, nor did I think they'd be able to link up like that because like the way their horns sense, I feel like they wouldn't be able to like organically pull off of each other. I don't know, I kind of decided just to do chunks of fur, more like kind of like a, if one's trying to sword dominance on the other one, it'll just rip off fur from ramming its horns into the other one's body, trying to like pierce the neck and whatnot. So I just went with something simple. I might maybe in the future, if I do come back to these, if people will like me to, I might go ahead and draw one of the bullfin mangler with like the opponent's head on its horns and whatnot, and we'll see how that goes if the art book features it. If not, I will have to wait for photo mode to come out. Randy, please have photo mode in the game. I need it, Randy. I'm asking you nicely, please. I went ahead and decided to go with Horace because I was trying to think of all the human enemies. Horace was kind of like the most iconic one to me because I legit thought this dude was going to come back in the Halloween event, similar to how Captain Tron did, because he played a big role in the story. I know there's like some autologs you can pick up where Horace did have a pretty big influence with certain events going on, but he kind of doesn't. Since we had the zombie theme for animals, I decided, you know, for human bosses, let's do a cool classic, being Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. So some people are pretty much familiar with number 3 in the Halloween series being the oddest one out of them all because it attempted to do a sort of different plot take on the Halloween idea with having masks that will melt your brains into worms, bugs, and roaches and like, right? So originally when I wanted to do this one based off the Season of the Witch, I wanted to do all 3 of the masks, but I decided just to stick with the pumpkin one because all hunters have their own kind of pumpkin head, but I want to change it up a bit to where the human ones would have like roots dangling them out to where they can't physically remove it, but also protecting the chip in their like backs. Back on topic, for some reason when I first started drawing this dude, I legit thought he was just a warden enemy. Like he was just a warden, because I was thinking of the warden you fought at the start of the game when you begin an actual new game and you break out jail with ARJAY. Apparently he's instead just a warden with a different mask in blue and all that stuff. Went ahead and resketch everything back out. So for the main idea how to break up the order from rippers with the pumpkin head symbol, I decided not to put a typical pumpkin face but instead a logo for each of them. So order enemies will have the triangle, which is known for a timekeeper. Rippers would have the vault symbol, considering the fact, you know, they have that marking on their masks because they wear psycho masks and all that fun stuff. So didn't end up getting they will draw a different version with the Ripper symbol, but I might maybe in the future pick that up as an art idea. I went ahead and just went with that, similar to the idea like I mentioned earlier where I wanted them to have the pumpkin roots around their necks where it seems like they're just controlled by this sort of unknown force ruling these pumpkins, but keeping the chip in place, similar to how in the Shamrock's masks they have the little logo that flashes. So I kind of thought, like, if we were in the boss sense, the little chip would be flashing, you could see it while this the enemy is being taken over by the Pumpkinhead. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to implement the other features of these masks, which one thing I wanted to do is I added in worms, roaches, and tadpole threshers, which I'm gonna be honest, those are the closest things to snakes in Borderlands, since, let's be real, I don't think anyone really likes threshers as much or would like to imagine one just slithering around on you. So when it came to the design, the other thing I changed was that I gave him vine feet, because I kind of wanted the idea that his whole body is slowly being turned into like a pumpkin, almost like his whole body just gonna be roots where he can just implant himself and spread stuff like that. I was kind of thinking of like the Goosebumps episode, or it's either Goosebumps or the Haunting Hour, one of those two, where they had like a dude who would like take kids' heads and regrow them as pumpkins. I'm sure I can look it up what it I'm referencing, but I swear it was something similar to that, so I was getting that idea. I just didn't write that down in my script. I kind of was just going off what I was thinking would look cool and all that stuff, but I kind of regret not only one fucking up the logic of his clothes, because I thought the like knee pads might have been fabric, but those might have been metal, but I should have fucking put dirt on him to get the idea that he just came out of the dirt. Another fun fact of the day. When I started writing out this section, I was under the impression that the Bulkhead bosses, one of them, could not spawn a rift. So at the time recording this last night, when I was farming with my friend, I think I went to go do something and I came back and the rift spawned, right? And I go in and I guess what I get greeted by? A Bulkhead boss. I was right in the fact that I wanted to do a Bulkhead design for this, because I do Bulkhead bosses spawn in rifts, but then at the same time I was like, oh wait, no they don't. I'm stupid. Hasmi was right. So I lost out on making a really cool design, and I'm hoping I might try to come back to this concept in the future if we can get the art book. So originally when I was working on this, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for the final one. I wanted it to be kind of like different, because we have animals as zombies, human pumpkin always controlled by some unknown force. But for the robot enemies, considering the fact there's very few that spawn in these rifts, I was like, what if we did, I was debating between nature control, like nature take over again, and withering. So I decided I didn't really like the withering idea because it would just look too much like a FNAF edit, and I'm not ready for those cornball allegations, but I decided to go ahead and do one where I wanted to have nature claim back the victim. And as you just heard, I originally was gonna do one of a Bulkhead boss, but I went ahead and made my base off of Bruce. Bruce was the one I had the goodest pictures of, and I have the concept where I went ahead and drew like moss and stuff, and I didn't have to edit this over him because originally my idea was I was just gonna go ahead and paint on top of the image, because Bulkheads are kind of like not that good to draw. These guys are really annoying and whatnot. I went ahead and put moss and stuff. I based this off this picture of like a stone covered in moss and all this different stuff, and I'm so mad because I was like, oh, okay, this shouldn't be that hard to paint over. I'll just go back in the future to actually draw this originally once I have better references and whatnot, and I could have done it, and then I gave up on it because I was like, oh, the only robots in the rifts are Structure Ghost and Psycho Bot. No, dumbass, there's fucking Annihilator. He's a chance to spawn in there. He's just fucking tiny and rare. So I'm just gonna mention it. I did have a section dedicated to RJ, and the main reason I'm just gonna talk about this real quickly is because another character I thought would have been perfect for this event would have been RJ, because considering the fact RJ legit just got wasted so hard in the story, I feel like it would have been cool to like have him come in the Halloween event, unleash vials, like making all the rift bosses have a chance to turn into a vial, or just having vials infect the rift. It would have been so cool, because this could have built up hype for the first story pack DLC, because we know he's going to be involved with the Vault of the Damned, because he mentioned in his dialogue when you're going to the Timekeeper that there's many like him. They have all been damned there. He clearly has influence. A really cool boss theme, like a remix of his original boss theme where he's beefed up and shit, but no, instead they were just like, here you go, he's at the end of the game, fuck you. Like, I had that whole schizo fit about it, and honestly at this point they could have just added Ava back for the Halloween event, and I think that would have been scary enough for most people. So that is my autistic rambling over about this game. I'm gonna be honest, I am hoping that the backlash from this event, the devs are hopefully gonna be given more time to work on these kind of things, because I understand at the end of the day that this is free content, but the problem is when you begin to enable billion-dollar companies to go ahead and get a little bit lazy with free content, at what point are they gonna go ahead and keep that mindset with paid content? And like, I don't have any ill will towards the dev team of this game. I love the fact they do engage with the community and they're open about certain things, but I feel like like they're just not getting enough time to work on this, because I feel like the problem is that a lot of this stuff is coming out within only a month. Like, they only have like 1 month to get all this stuff prepped up and drop it, because it's the start of the game. You want to keep hype, you want to keep people playing. But the problem is, because you're only getting a month of development while also working on other things at the same time, they're not coming out good. I think they should only just did up to like quad 1 of dropping stuff monthly, and then just slowing down afterwards to make sure everything has quality instead of quantity, because I really want Borderlands 4 to do good. That's it. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to doing my own kind of thing in the background, and if people want, I might actually go ahead and consider maybe making a part 2 of this where we draw some other guys, and I might actually come back to some of my previous ones and maybe touch them up with some criticism and feedback I can get from these. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start editing this, and hope it's not too long.